Hit the music.
Welcome to the third anniversary of the Chokeslam Wrestling Report, and I am honored. And when I say I'm honored to have this gentleman, Absolute Kris Kage, the man, the GOAT. This man has done everything in the indies and the whatnot. So thanks a lot for being in my podcast, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me, and happy anniversary to you and everybody here at the Chokeslam podcast. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So before we start talking about your event coming up on June 11th, which I wanted to sponsor, but I got a little bit late. Tell us, how you started in the wrestling business, how many years you've been in the wrestling business, and all that stuff.
Well, wrestling is a lifelong passion of mine. Going back to when I was about 2 years old, family watching it in the house. I was hooked from when I was a young kid. And, with like most of the guys you'll meet in the business, wrestling around with my buddies, throwing ourselves around, doing some crazy things when we were young, which led us to meeting me and my partner's mentor in 2011, Joel Maximo of the SAT, the Maximo brothers. And in 2011, we started training officially in wrestling school. And late 2011, early 2012, we officially got like underway on the professional circuit, working indie shows and things like that. And this year, it just so happens you're celebrating an anniversary. This year, we're celebrating an anniversary as well, because 2022 will kind of mark officially me and my partner's 10-year anniversary in the game.
Oh, wow. That's cool, man. And I haven't been able to see a lot of your matches, but one match that I remember seeing you was a match with Brother Greatness and for the BWF title. That was the first time I ever saw you. I had gone to BWF matches, like I believe it was 2015 or 14. So I went in 2020. It was like a couple of weeks before the shutdown. I think it was Escape from New York, I think was the event.
It might have been. Me and Brother Greatness went at it on more than one. So yeah. It could have been that. It could have been Jingle All the Way, the Christmas show.
Yeah, I think it was in March. It was in like somewhere in March or February, okay. One of those. So I saw you and I was like, yo, who is this guy? Because you came in, you had this swag, and I was like, and I just saw the match again. How many years you was working with the BWF before you started doing it everywhere?
The me and Brother Greatness situation actually came up pretty quick after my arrival at BWF.
Oh, okay.
While of course, being a New York guy, I've watched BWF for years, and I have a lot of friends that have gone through the BWF. I personally wasn't a part of BWF until about 2018, 2019, around that era. And I decided to join BWF because around that time I had noticed that BWF was kind of killing it. Brother Greatness wasn't the only one. The roster from top to bottom was pretty stacked, and the action that they were putting out, the content that they were putting out was looking real nice, and it just felt like the energy in the Bronx was something that I wanted to be a part of. So and as you saw when I jumped in, you call it swag, I call it my my attitude and determination. I'm not the type of person that likes to take a back seat and likes to sit in the background and just wait for opportunities. So definitely when I showed up at the BWF, it was to make noise, to let everybody know that I was there, and to let everybody know that they had a problem when I showed up.
And it's funny because right after that, then they had to shut down. I think they had to shut down, and then I started seeing your the Zoltan videos, which it was like very creative. The way you did your promo, I'm like, this guy is a pro. And I didn't know how many years you've been in the business, but yo, you do that so good. And I was like, and I kept following you, and I'm like, oh, I want to see this Zoltan. I never got to see you live, but I remember the last thing I saw was when you guys were supposed to wrestle the Rock and Roll Express. But I didn't see the match. How did that match go?
That match was it was great. At the time, Robert Gibson was not feeling the best in terms of his physical condition. Being a little banged up. So before it went down, there was a little bit of a worry as to if he would be okay, number one, and number two, if we would be able to pull off, anything pretty much. But I gotta say that I'm so grateful for the way they took care of us and the way they tried to make us look. And more importantly, after the match, the knowledge that they dropped, spend some time with them a little bit after the match, and the knowledge that they dropped on us after it was over, and the motivation and the encouragement that they gave us after the match was even more valuable and meant even more to me and my partner than getting in the ring and mixing it up, which, to answer your question, was fun. We got our licks in, baby. I got to say that I got to put the beats on Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. You know what I'm talking about?
You gotta give them credit though, because those guys, they in their 60s. I mean, I was watching these guys back in the early 80s when I was a teenager, high school, and watching these guys wrestling NWA. And I'm like, these guys can still go. They're still doing Canadian Destroyers and all that shit.
It's amazing. I tell a lot of guys, both younger than me, and I argue with the guys older than me that, the Rock and Roll and, my personal favorite, the Midnight Express,
yes,
created pretty much the tag team stylings and psychologies that are still used to this day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're the true innovators of tag team wrestling. And if you're a tag team wrestler, as I am, and you want to learn, that's where I would point you. Absolutely.
Yeah, because and you probably may agree with me, and a lot of these tag teams nowadays, they're into that jumping, flipping, and all that. You look at a team like FTR, they really remind me of Tully Blanchard and R. Anderson.
Right, the Midnight Express, baby. FTR combined the Midnight, combined the Rock and Roll, they combine, Tully and Arn. They all of that. They throw it all together. The Minnesota Wrecking Crew, they got a little Ole and Arn Anderson mix in there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. FTR, when they say they're the best tag team in the game, it's hard to really argue.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. So, and then, right after you guys were hot, I'm talking about y'all guys were real hard. You were winning tag team titles, you were wrestling everybody. I believe you got hurt. Am I correct?
That's right.
What was it, a leg injury?
That was right. My MCL popped that bad boy. Yeah.
Oh, and how long you was out?
It's funny that you say, because this June 11th event, Project Codename Exodus, coming up. Me and my partner going one-on-one. Mm-hmm. Will technically be my second match since my injury. My first one being just a couple of weeks ago, having the opportunity to wrestle on an MLW taping down at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia. So, checking some bucket list dreams off the list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think I saw you post that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Trying to do some big things, trying to check it out.
The 2300 Arena, right?
That's right. 2300. Walking in there for the first time, being an ECW fan, going back to the original days.
Yeah.
It was a lot to take in, and it was definitely something that I looked around and I took a deep breath and I took it in, and I made sure I understood where I was at and what I was doing.
Yeah. I mean, did they already show the episode, or they haven't shown the episode yet?
Not yet, but definitely when there's something to show, I very much will be shoving it down everybody's throat.
Oh, no, my man, I'm definitely gonna check that out, and I'm definitely gonna put that out there in the podcast and whatnot. A very interesting situation that I saw, and I was checking out a lot of the YouTube, how you and TJ Marconi got together. Was it because you figured like, well, you know what, I'm in an injury, I could be his backup? I saw how everything you was doing, commentating. I think PJ Savage attacked him, and you came in with a chair. How is that working out for you guys as far as you being like maybe like a manager for now because you haven't been able to wrestle, or what?
Since me and TJ hooked up, I've been given a lot of labels. They've called me a lot of things: manager, capo. Some people like to throw the lackey jab at me.
Nah, I like the capo. I like
which of course rolls off my shoulder. You know
of course.
what I'm saying? But I just like to look at myself as TJ's problem solver. Most important.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If TJ has an issue he needs taken care of, if there's a certain piece of business that he needs handled that he can't exactly handle directly, I'm the guy that he calls.
Yeah.
If, as we've seen in recent months with guys like Big Dan Moff and others who have tried to step in the way, you mentioned PJ Savage earlier. You know what I'm saying? That's where me and TJ hooked up. It came at a time where TJ was being come at from all different sides and all different directions.
Yes.
And being that TJ's done a lot for me in terms of my other areas of expertise in the game, like you mentioned the commentators game, you mentioned the journalistic game and all these things like that, including my managerial services.
Yes.
I got
too many. You got too many. How you call it? Occupations.
That's right. I'm a jack of all trades. I wear a lot of hats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm pretty much what anybody needs me to be.
That's good. So now, the interesting part, which I think what brought me to saying to myself, well, I need to go see this event, was the fact that you and your tag team partner are going to face off one-on-one. Now, I know that he wasn't too happy, I guess, because you are now with Marconi. How do you feel about that, being that you guys been together for a long time?
Over 2 decades, and my brother have been riding together, as we like to say.
Yeah.
We've been through everything. We've been through good, through bad. We fought, we've argued, you know what I'm saying? We've had glory together. We've had our, ready to quit moments together. And much like everybody else in this situation, whether it be in the project, whether it be in my own family, whether it be with my partner, everybody got the situation a little bit twisted. Everybody thinks that I'm doing this for some underhanded, devilish scheme and reason, when that couldn't be further from the truth. We mentioned TJ Marconi and what he did for me. I'm just repaying a favor because I know how to be loyal to those who look out for me. My brother, he got the situation twisted. I don't know where his jealousy comes from. Maybe the fact that I entered the project without him, with TJ, and just didn't try to throw the Zoltan into the mix from jump.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, that's all he had to come and he had to say to me. Yeah. He decided to go in an opposite direction. He decided to come at me a little aggressively. I tried to offer him a spot in me and TJ's operation because of course I would. Yeah. We've been together all these years without ever a hiccup in our partnership. But apparently what I'm doing with TJ is a little bit too much for him to stand next to. It's a little bit too much for him to swallow, a little bit too much for him to handle. He apparently wants me all to himself, and I don't blame him. But what am I supposed to do? This is not personal, it's business.
Yeah.
What happens on June 11th is going to be business. Yeah. My brother might take it personally, but I promise it's going to be business. Unfortunately, the business handled is not going to be an outcome that he's going to enjoy.
Yeah. So a question I want to ask you outside of this project codename Exodus. I know sometimes I see you and you make your opinion on the wrestling business. Can you tell me, if you mind, I don't know if you mind, tell me how you really feel about the wrestling business? Because, I mean, I was brought up the old school way. A lot of the stuff that I see now is just guys doing, like last night I was watching AEW and Hikuleo did a dive and fell head first on the floor. I'm like, okay, why are you a 6 foot something doing dives? How do you feel about the business the way it is and how you see it going to the future?
Well,
you can be honest, bro. So yeah, you can be.
Oh no, one thing you're gonna get from me is honesty.
Yeah. There's no censorship here.
It's something that could be analyzed and dissected, for days, hours, weeks, right? I mean, this is what we do, right? Mm-hmm. This is what you do. You talk about this. Yeah. You dissect wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. You compare it to what we grew up on, what we were brought up on. Yep. And in reference to that, sometimes it is a little difficult. The game changes. It's always going to change. You know, it evolves every generation. It's going to keep evolving. Do I agree with everything that I see? Absolutely not.
No.
Because like you, I was brought up on a certain type of presentation, shall we say.
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate a certain type of presentation because I want to feel a certain type of way when I watch this. I want to believe a certain type of way when I watch this. I want you to take me somewhere while I watch this. I don't just want to be watching it because it's routine and it's what I do and it's because it's what I like.
Yeah.
Because there comes moments where it's not what I like because of what I'm watching.
Yeah. Now, one thing I'm
participating in, because it goes even further than what I'm watching. You got to remember, I got to participate in this too.
Yeah. Because the one thing I notice about you, if you're going up to the top rope, is to do that elbow. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And the one thing I can do, you got that elbow job is beautiful, bro.
Thank you.
Right now. But, you know, and the reason I asked you is because it's either you or TJ always talking about the business, about, you know, what y'all guys don't like and what sometimes promoters, they do shitty shit. And I agree because I hear stories, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's why I wanted to ask you.
I mean, I keep my opinions on a little more of a general basis.
Yeah.
You know, TJ, he allows certain things to upset him.
Yeah.
A little bit more than I think he should sometimes, which I have advised him on. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But mine, you see my comments, mine are more on a general basis.
Yeah.
Mine are an umbrella over the entire situation.
Yeah.
Because from top to bottom, from mid-card to the undercard to the main event, no matter what brand you like, no matter what day of the week you like to watch, you see these type of things on anything you turn on. You know, both the good and the bad. Because I'm not just trying to shit on it all the way. It ain't, you know, 100%. But you know, it can be better, of course. And to answer your question in terms of where I think it could go in the future, I'm actually pretty optimistic about the future because I think there are a lot of guys, you may not hear it yet, but I think there are more guys like me than you might think there are out there. There are a lot of guys that have the mentality and the mindset that they want to see this go in a little bit of a different direction. You see guys like FTR. You see guys like Punk now leading the charge. You see guys like Danielson and Regal and those kind of situations. And I think that in the next couple of years, in the next generation or two, you're going to see a lot more of that pop up because you are going to get people like me, fans that may be a little disgruntled the other way because they want to see a little bit of a return to something they could really chew into. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because I think the indie scene got a lot of talent. You know,
amazing talent.
Yeah, I mean, I go.
The problem is not the talent. The problem is the knowledge.
Yeah.
A lot of kids got the talent, they just don't got the knowledge, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Sorry, I don't mean to kind of the language. Oh, all right.
Don't worry about it.
Excuse me, I get a little passionate.
Me and Jay get in here, we be cursing our asses off. So
okay,
but
it gets me a little upset sometimes.
Don't worry about it, bro. You being passionate about it, and the reason I asked you that because I see what you bring to the table as far as a wrestler. Because the way I see it, there's a lot of good wrestlers out there. They're just not. They don't have the the platform to show it. You know what I'm saying? Because I gone to East Coast Pro Wrestling, and I've done a couple of interviews with a couple of guys. Ray Pittman, who's the ECPW mid-outs champion. You know, and there's a lot of guys, but they sometimes some of these small promotions, you could tell that you got good wrestlers, but they don't know what they're doing in that ring, and it's scary. You know, and the way I see it, guys like you, who you know, you grew up watching the old school shit, and you got all this knowledge. You've been in the business about 10?
About 10. You know, you want to throw in, you want to throw in the forbidden backyard wrestling. You could throw 20 years on there. You know what I'm saying?
You could do, we could do that, but. You know, guys like you, they have to bring more guys like you or people with your knowledge in order for this business to grow. Because I think there's too much comedy in it too. You agree with that?
I agree. I could agree with that. You know, a lot of people think, you know, think that I'm just 100% against the comedy, which I'm not. Yeah. Of course, you know, there's always room for that in the business, but you know, I think at the right time, you know, like everything else.
Yeah.
You know, there's an appropriate time, there's an appropriate moment, there's an appropriate person, you know, for all these things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be a little bit more than I'd like to see, but you know, at the same time, as you also see, there are the people out there that enjoy that kind of stuff. So, you know, you can't argue with that as well, you know, for the type of thing that, you know, for if that's what the people like, that's what they like. You know, you can't argue with what's popular. You can't argue with what the people react to. So you could like what you like. I could like what I like. We can argue till the cows come home, but the people are going to like what they like. And you kind of got to respect that at the same time.
Yeah, it's true. Any major promotions besides WWE that you would like to land maybe 5 years from now, or you're happy where you at right now?
People ask me that question a lot, and it's funny because my answer doesn't really change no matter my experience. I'm appreciative of what I do, where I'm at. You know, coming from where me and my brother came from and my whole crew and a lot of the people I know and, you know, travel with, you know, realistically, if I'm talking real, this, you know, when we were young, the thinking that this would even be a possibility, we talked about me stepping in the ring with the Rock and Roll Express. That's, come on, that's a fantasy right there.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you know how old they are, I'm literally half their age, even more than half their age. And you know, to think that I would even if I put 10 years, even if I put 20 years in the business, that I would get to step into the ring with the Rock and Roll Express. If you would have even told me that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, with my experience, I would have laughed at you. So my thing is, you know, at what happened with MLW, that was kind of a out of nowhere situation, me walking into the ECW arena on days notice. You know,
they reached out to you, or
it was a situation that was presented to me because you know how things work. There was somebody that was supposed to be on the show that couldn't be on the show, and there was an opening that was there for me, and it was presented to me. And though it was, you know, it's a intimidating request on just days notice, at the same time you got to know when opportunities in front of you, and like, you know, and like I'm talking about, you know, things like this, you could never imagine things like this are going to happen. So when they're in front of you, you better jump on them, because you don't want to be the guy that, you know, and that goes to everybody. You don't want to be the guy that they throw something big in front of you and you go, nah, I didn't take it because I didn't think I was ready. You make yourself ready.
It's and now that you say that, about 2 years ago, I happened to be watching Danny Limelight wrestle at New Japan Strong, and I was like, "Man, that guy's good, whatever." So I hit him up on Twitter. I just started following him that same day, and now I was like, "Yo, you know, you good and this and that. I would like to have you one day in my podcast." My man said, "Yo, let's do this right now. Gotta drop everything, because you don't get opportunities like that, you know." So absolutely. I understand where you coming from, you know. So
and look at him now doing big things, 5150 in MLW, Roland Hernandez, Homicide. I saw him. I was in the ECW arena with him. Amazing, you know, just to be around all the guys, just to be around, you know, and seeing everybody, you know, brainstorm, put it together, see how things operate, see how it operates on a bigger scale, just to sit back and to absorb, and to most importantly try to listen and pay attention and try to soak up everything I possibly can. That's all I was worried about.
Let me ask you a question. When you was training, was you training with Santana and Ortiz?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Santana and Ortiz, back, you know, going back to 10 years ago, back to the old, you know, Brooklyn days, training in Brooklyn. Ortiz and especially Santana, you know, probably my most intense training partner. You've seen him. You see him on TV. You see
my daughter. He's my daughter's cousin.
Listen, you see.
I see him all the time. Intense.
That ain't no. It ain't no put on. You know what I'm talking about? That's Santana.
He comes from the hood, yo. So.
And we come from the same neighborhood. We're actually, you know, I've known Santana, another one, 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So even before the pro wrestling dream was even a possibility. So I've seen him literally since day one. We've been together, you know, we've been around each other, we've been together. I could tell you from experience, the most intense training partner I've ever had, because you see him on TV, he's just as intense in the gym. He plays no games ever. Ortiz, the same thing. And there's a reason why, you know, people consider them one of the best tag teams in the world, one of the most underrated tag teams in the world, one of the most underutilized tag teams in the world, myself included.
Yeah, I agree with that, because when I first saw Santana Ortiz coming to AEW, they were the hottest free agent tag team.
Absolutely.
And I feel like
I was watching live, baby. Let me tell you something. I was a fan that night. You know, especially as close as we are and stuff like that. I was, you know, it doesn't make me jump up and down and get all like excited like that and feel the feelings in the stomach that often anymore. But that was definitely one of those moments.
Yeah.
I was out of my seat for that.
Yeah. And I think Santana just won a title in Puerto Rico. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. LAWE, first ever, Puerto Rico, representing the culture down there, brand new company. And my man is the first one to carry the flag.
That's good, man.
Well and proud. You already know that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, me being a Boricua myself.
That's right.
So again, guys, Project Codename Exodus. This is happening Saturday, June 11th. Again, we're gonna have Absolute Kris Kage versus Superstar Whipflash.
Whipflash, my brother, my tag team partner.
Yeah, this is the first time these guys are gonna wrestle each other. So check that out. That's located at 1050 Jeanette Avenue, Union, New Jersey, at the Boys and Girls Club in Union County. So check it out. Chris, plug in everything you have so that everybody knows so they can follow.
Hey, man, like the man just told you, it's Project Codename Exodus. It's going down June 11th from the Boys and Girls Club in Union County, New Jersey. That's Union, New Jersey. And you're going to see myself against my brother for the first time. We've talked about it for 20 years since we were young, but we've never actually stepped into the ring. And for the first time, my brother's going to get an ass whipping his brother style that he ain't never seen coming before. That's number one. We got a main event scramble with my boy TJ Marconi going up against 5. That's 5 other big, heavy hitting guys. Anthony Gangone, Chris Barton, Dr. Redacted, the Renaissance, Nikolai White. It's all going down. They're all going to be in there. You got a stacked card from top to bottom. And when it comes to me, catch me on all the socials at Absolute Kage, Twitter, Instagram, Left Hand on Top Productions on YouTube, Kris Kage on Facebook. And what can I say? Join us on June 11th, because I guarantee you, you're not going to want to miss it. Y'all already know here at the show, everybody that's listening, I'm telling you, you're going to want to be there, because you're going to have a good time and you're going to have something to tell everybody when you go home.
Yes, definitely. The Chokeslam Wrestling Report is sponsoring that main event scramble with Marconi involved in that. So
that's right.
That's
right.
It's going to be a show that I'm definitely especially your match. That's the one I'm really looking forward to, because this is, again, brother versus brother. These guys been together for close 20 years. He just said it. So, you know, but Chris, thank you for coming to my show. I appreciate it. Coming to my 3rd anniversary show. We're definitely going to have you again after the event. So we'll definitely catch you again. Again, I appreciate
you, brother. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.